So by now, you know me well enough to know that I am always going to try and give you a relatively easy, quick fix kind of solution that will help you achieve your goal. But then I'm also going to give you some much deeper work that's going to allow you to create real long-term change in your life. And that is especially true this week. Last week, you dug deep into how your identity allows you to hit your goal or can become an obstacle to hitting your goal. And this week, the deep work involves looking at emotional obstacles that can make hitting your goal much more challenging. So, what do I mean by that? I am a very contented person and I always see the positive in every situation. Even when something bad happens, I can find a lesson that I'm supposed to learn in the situation and I quickly get back to a state of contentment. That's something that has allowed my life to be amazing and wonderful, and I've led a fantastic life because of those two characteristics. But when it comes to losing weight, they are actually negative emotions for me. So what do I mean by that? So for me, for example, if I didn't lose weight 1 week, that's a tongue twister, my positive nature kicks in and I think, oh well, there's always next week, and gosh, I achieved all those work goals, I can find something positive. And then because of my contentment, if I don't follow my meal plan, I can think, well, we had all those great family meals and I got to make, great memories with my kids. So when I don't do something towards my goal of losing weight, I can always find something positive in the situation and I'm naturally just a contented person. So while I can easily remove superficial obstacles, things that stop me working out, or if I'm tired, or if I'm stressed, or if I have work things I need to juggle, I can move all those superficial obstacles to allow me to focus on losing weight. But feeling too content and feeling too positive are actually much bigger barriers to achieving my goal than just those superficial obstacles that we talked about in the first video. You may have the opposite problem to contentment. You may be a perfectionist. So if you don't stick to your meal plan or your workout schedule or the plan that you created for your day, as soon as that first thing goes wrong, you think, screw it, and you just quit. And you have that all or nothing mentality because of your perfectionism that makes it much harder to consistently work towards your goal. Feeling like a failure is also a big emotional obstacle, whether it's feeling like you're failing at weight loss or not hitting work goals or not hitting career goals, or feeling like you're letting down family or friends. That feeling of never being good enough is a huge obstacle to being able to achieve your goal. So how we think about ourselves and managing our emotions around those thoughts is a big obstacle. And if you, as we talked about last week, if your goal builds on a strength, and you already see yourself as someone who's successful, you're just pushing the boundaries towards that goal a little bit further, then it is easier to hit your goal, but you'll still have emotional obstacles along the way. But if hitting your goal requires you seeing yourself as a totally different person, say one who's neat and tidy, organized, thin, enjoys planning their day, then you have much more work to do. And then when you add in these emotional obstacles that we're going to talk about in this video, it makes you realize how difficult it can be to hit your goal. So we discussed all the identity stuff last week. So this week we're going to talk about how you deal with emotional obstacles. It takes 3 steps. The first one ties back into last week. You have to have a very strong why. You need to know exactly why you want to hit that goal, because that why is what's going to allow you to push through the emotional obstacles. So if you haven't done the work from last week, I encourage you this weekend to go back and do it, especially watch video 3. So that's step 1, have a really strong identity. Step 2 is to be able to identify the emotions that are making it difficult to hit your goal. So I want you to go back and answer all the questions that you've just done for the superficial obstacles, but this time I want you to identify your emotional obstacles. They may be maybe fewer obstacles, but they're going to be much bigger and much harder to remove. So I want you to look back at the last couple of weeks and I want you to think about all the emotions that have stopped you from hitting your goal, or at least taking the action to hit your goal. I want you to think about what emotions did you feel and why did you feel that way? So for example, did you give in to contentment? Were you apathetic about hitting your goal? Did you give in to pleasure too easily? That could be the pleasure of sitting on the couch doing nothing when you should have been working out or doing something you put on your schedule. Or it could have been, pleasure giving into a craving or something like that. Did you allow yourself to feel like a failure if you didn't stick to your plan and then you quit? Or did your perfectionism, make you quit the first time something didn't happen as you wanted it to? So that's the first thing, is identify what emotions you felt and why. Sometimes you won't know why you feel those emotions. You just know that you felt them, and that's okay. The second thing you need to do when you've identified those emotions is to think, how could you have thought differently? How could you have felt differently? And how could you have behaved differently in each of those situations when you felt that emotion? Could you have used a ladder thought, like we discussed last week, a thought that makes you feel just a little bit better, gives you just enough encouragement to get off the couch, or to, eat 5 chips, not the whole family size bag? What could you have done, a thought that just makes you feel a little bit better and take a slightly different action? Could you have completely embraced that unpleasant feeling and not quit or not given into the craving? Or could you have forced yourself to do something difficult and not taken an easy, pleasurable option? So look at each of those situations where you felt a difficult emotion and decide how you could have acted differently. Because you know that if you walk away from a situation that's causing you a craving, or if you get up off the couch and actually force yourself to do something, when you have taken the action or resisted the urge to do something that you knew would go against your goal, you feel so amazing, and you feel disciplined, and you feel accomplished, because you either did what you said you were going to do, or you didn't give in to a craving. And if that allows you to get closer to your goal, which normally it does, you feel even better. So step 1, have a big why. Step 2, identify when you feel these emotions and decide what you want to do differently when you feel that emotion. And then step 3 is to be able to look at whatever you have coming up this week and next week. Where could you feel those difficult emotions coming up, and what action could you take to avoid the negative emotion, or avoid giving into a pleasurable emotion? And I want you to write down for each situation how you want to feel and how you want to behave, because you know that in the moment your primitive brain is going to tell you that you should embrace that good emotion, like contentment and pleasure. You deserve to eat that snack, or you deserve to relax on the couch. Or else it's going to tell you to avoid the discomfort of feeling an unpleasant emotion. Don't push through when you feel like quitting. Don't bother to plan your day, even though you know it's going to get you the result that you want. And don't go out into the cold garage and tidy it. Stay on the couch where it's warm. But when you decide in advance the action that you're going to take, even though the situation may still feel difficult, but because you're using that higher decision-making part of your brain, you're going to take the good action that is going to get you closer to your goal. So that's it. That's your 3 steps. Have a big why, identify when you feel negative emotion, and decide what you want to do to overcome that emotion, and then look at this week and see when those emotions are the situations that are going to cause you to feel those big emotions, and decide in advance what you're going to do. And then another thing that you can often do that is going to make it easier to deal with difficult emotions is to have a big focus for your future. So if you think back to the very start of this 6-week challenge, I asked you to list out your big dreams, or your big things that you wanted to achieve. I think there were 35 on the list. All those things that you would love to get done at some point in the future. Because when you're working towards something really big, it allows you to not think about, this particular moment. You just see it as a stepping stone to where you ultimately want to go. So for example, if you're saving to buy something big, you're quite happy to make coffee at home in the morning or pack a lunch, because you save that little bit of money that's going to allow you to buy whatever it is you're saving for in the future. You're happy to work long hours or take on extra responsibility if you know that you're working towards a promotion, or maybe owning your own business. And we can all dream that eventually COVID's going to come to an end and we're going to be able to go on an amazing vacation. And if you're thinking about something great like that in the future, it gives you that little bit of encouragement in the moment to avoid that snack or to push through that workout. So having that really big focus for what you want to achieve and those long-term goals is very important. So that's a lot. But to summarize the deep work that you need to do to be able to overcome your emotions, you need that big goal, something that you're planning for in the future, something that you're aiming for. You need a very strong reason to hit your ultimate goals as well as your 6-week goal. You need a very strong why. You need to write down your goal every single day, and you need to visualize being able to hit that goal, whether it's just your 6-week goal or whether it's your 6-week goal as a stepping stone to your ultimate goal. And then you need to surround yourself with inspiration and motivation. You need to identify all the emotional obstacles that could come up that are stopping you from hitting your goal, and list the ways that you want to overcome them. You need to list all the superficial obstacles, tiredness, kids' activities, work goals, all the things that just come up every day that can stop you taking the action that's going to hit your goal. Decide how you're going to overcome them. And then when you know all of those superficial obstacles, the emotional obstacles, you can anticipate them when you look at everything you have to get done this week. And you can decide in advance how you can overcome the things that are going to stop you taking action to hit your goal. And you can decide how you want to feel when you feel those negative emotions. And then when those obstacles arise, you know exactly what you're going to do, the action that you're going to take to be able to power through and hit your goal. And you'll feel amazing. And the more uncomfortable it is and the harder you push, the better you'll feel about yourself, because you really can achieve anything you want in life, but you have to want it badly enough, and you have to be prepared to put in the work to be able to achieve your goal. And often that takes changing your identity and learning how to overcome uncomfortable emotions, or not taking the easy route of contentment or pleasure. But you can do this. I believe in you, and I would love you to reach out to me if you're struggling. I'm here to help. We can schedule a call, we can schedule a Zoom call, and it can be 10 minutes, it can be 30 minutes, it's whatever you need. But if you don't tell me what you're struggling with, I presume that you're doing all this work, you're overcoming all your, emotional obstacles, that you're getting closer to your goal. And the Facebook group is very impersonal. So reach out to me. I would love to get feedback from you, and I would love to be able to help you and make sure that you are, a third of the way to being able to hit your goal.